Ready now?
Yeah, I was born ready.
Born this way. Hey, gals, guys, and otherwise. This is Jonathan O. Roselion.
And I'm Noah, also known as Polyphonic, and you're listening to Horns and Wings, the podcast where we dissect Saga one painstakingly slow issue at a time.
Wow, already painstakingly slow. So we're talking about issue 15 with a special guest that we will get to in a second. But come consume our local flora and fauna and stay with us forever and ever in this beautiful world of Saga. Let's dive in. It's almost like I'm setting up the issue, Noah.
Oh. Yeah, no.
You should start reading these before we record.
That went right over my head. Let's introduce our guest.
Hey, Ben, what's up?
Hey, what's up? It's me. I'm here.
We got
guest of Saga.
Yeah, classic Ben Stokes from SPTV, an early adapter. In fact, one might say the first adapter of this podcast, since you knew about it before just about anyone else.
That is true.
But yeah, if people have been following, especially on like the YouTube channel and stuff, you've been given some very solid answers to our questions of the week that I've appreciated a lot.
Thank you.
Given some much needed Prince Robot the Fourth praise.
My boy, Prince Robot. Yeah, huge Saga fan, huge Horns and Wings fan. I'm really digging what you guys are doing right now. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being on.
Can you tell everyone a little about your channel and what you do?
Yeah, so SPTV, it's my YouTube channel. Do a little bit of animation, a couple podcasts here and there. The one I'm kind of putting out right now, it's called the Talking Heads podcast. That's the one John was on about a year ago at this point.
Yeesh, yeah.
But yeah, it's an animated podcast. It's exactly how it sounds. It's two heads in jars, just talking about art that people making stuff, if you will.
I'm calling my lawyer right now. Yeah, no, I love that podcast. Only like 70% because I was on it, but you've had such a good streak of people on there. Especially, oh my gosh, I remember you asking me if I'd be on it, and I was like, hey, I'll check this thing out. And then like the first one that popped up was Edmund McMillan, the creator of Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was fucking crazy, dude. Twitter is an amazing tool.
It's
I literally just tweet people I want to talk to. That's how I got you on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm gonna try to rope Noah into it at some point as well.
Yeah. I'm totally down.
Hell yeah.
We were figuring out how we're gonna because he is famously faceless, and so we're gonna hold on, let's figure out a solution to this. If we can do just like a talking polyphonic logo,
like the P, like a personified P.
That would be way easier to animate.
Right.
So I'm totally down. I'm totally down for that.
Before we get into the issue, I just wanted to talk to you a bit and ask, as someone who creates art and is an animator, what are your impressions of Saga? What draws you to the comic, kind of when you're looking at it through the lens of an animator?
That is a great question. I mean, I don't know, looking at it, there's so much kind of dynamic movement. I mean, it's almost drawn kind of roughly, the way that Fiona Staples draws it. So I don't know, there's just like a lot of kinetic movement in it. It really draws you in to the action. I think that's a pretty big appeal to me, and just the kind of the insane characters that they come up with. Always, it blows my mind, and that's a big appeal for me anyways.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you have a favorite character design so far, without spoiling anything?
I mean, Prince Robot's the easiest one. I love the idea that they all have TVs for heads. I mean, my fucking logo is a TV, so I don't know, maybe I'm biased about it. But no, yeah, Prince Robot's great. the chicks from Sextillion that were just the heads and the legs.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
crazy.
Right.
I remember Fard blowing my mind, just the huge ball sack on Fard the first time I saw it. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, it's just super. It's like things that seem so obvious after you see them for the first time, but you would have never thought of it. It's
Yep.
weird how it's like that balance.
I
Yeah,
especially
totally.
love that with generally the whole design of the robots, and that's something, without spoiling anything, that's something we'll see as we go on more,
Yeah.
where it's just like so intuitive, the design, as you see more and more robots.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Steven. I'm right there. with you.
literally my favorite thing in this comic is a certain design. Yeah, which actually we're gonna see a bit of a variation on a robot design real
Yeah.
soon. But do we want to talk about this comic cover that we teased a bit when we were ranking the covers before?
Oh, this is such a beautiful cover. This is one of my favorite covers. How would you describe this cover, Ben?
I'm on the spot.
It is a lover's embrace, if you will. Yeah, I mean, so it's Marco and Alana holding each other passionately, almost like the cover of a romance novel. I'm sure that's what the look is going for.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's even more specifically than a romance novel. I think it's a reference to A Nighttime Smoke.
The romance novel.
Exactly. By Lauper nominated author D. Oswald Heist.
I'm quickly realizing that Noah only wanted guests on here so that he can make them do his job on this podcast.
Hey, you know,
Yeah,
Describe all
man.
this shit.
my job is very little and it's already too much work.
Poor thing.
Next, I'm going to rope you into doing the thumbnails.
Don't tempt me, man.
Yeah, no, this cover is great. I love that hot pink in the background. I'd have to say this is the most just like, I don't aggressively like colored cover
Yeah,
that we've seen so
it's
far.
very in your face. I
Yeah.
love the castle in the background.
Right, which is given no reference, like it's of no circumstance to the plot or anything. There's a castle because there's got to be a castle.
Beauty and the Beast vibes, maybe.
Right.
I love the way, especially in just like the side-on profiles, the way that Marco's horn kind of frames his face is, I think that's just
Yeah.
like, it's not exactly subtle, but it's really, really well executed, and it just
Yeah.
kind of draws your eye into their faces.
Which is again, yeah, very Beauty and the Beast. And also I like that seems to be a bit medieval. Like
Yeah.
his shirt
Yeah,
is
a tunic.
she's wearing
Just
a bit of a
barely
corset.
hanging on his
Yeah,
ripped, beautiful body.
just washboard abs.
Yeah. Cut glass on those, man.
Yeah, I want to. Brian K. Vaughan should publish the Marco workout plan.
Yeah, no, it's a good cover. But how are we gonna? You know what? I'm not gonna put it all on Ben. I'm gonna cover the first part of this. So
Oh, thank you so much. I was getting tired.
and then you can do the rest of the issue.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So we start out with I feel like, just a heads up, I think that we have reached like pinnacle opening and closing splash pages in this issue for Saga. Like, we are peak Saga here with these openings. But the opening for this one is a lady robot, perhaps some sort of admiral robot, I don't know, and her hand is transformed into a saber.
It's a countess.
Oh, I like it.
It literally says that on the next page.
Oh, well, I'm sorry for looking at the wrong fucking page now. She has a saber for a hand, and she's standing in front of a massive dead dragon. And she's saying, "Would one of you overgrown condom failures kindly remove the dead fucking dragon from my runway?" And so just throwing us
Beautiful
right
insult.
into it. I love this character immediately.
Right?
So good. And then so we get her, she's immediately confronted by Upshur and Doff, and asking about apparently Alana was under her command, and we find out that she does not like Alana. She was ordered to Alana was ordered to blow up a bridge that was sort of apparently a lot of the robot or wings forces were stuck on an island, and the bad guys were coming over the bridge, and Alana was ordered to blow up the bridge, and she didn't, at least at first. She hesitated, and then at the last second, she blew up the bridge, despite it killing a lot of civilians and commuters. And so Upshur and Doff are finding all this out, and then all of a sudden, and keep in mind we're in the middle of, it seems like, the aftermath of a war zone, sort of a war zone, in this sort of almost post-apocalyptic city. And then Upshur gets shot through the shoulder with a sniper laser. And so the Countess, does she have a name? Is it just Countess?
It is Countess
Just
Robot
the
10.
10th.
Oh, X. See, that's where I'll
Yeah.
say the letters for that one.
It is weird that one. It is really easy to just do X on that.
No,
It's like
no,
the
it's
iPhone.
10. It's
because X
you
gonna
can't,
give it to you.
yeah,
Dude, Countess Robot X.
you can't lose your shit over people saying 4 as IV and then call 10 X.
You're right. You're right.
But here's the thing:
Standards.
if that was my name, I would insist on going by X. So I'm gonna assume she does the same.
And she makes me wonder too how, because like Prince Robot the Fourth, his arm turns into a gun, but
Mhm.
hers is the sword. Do they choose that? Are they born with it?
That is a
I don't
good
know.
question. Which here, let's wrap up the scene really quick. Which
Oh, yeah,
is
sorry,
literally just she calls in an airstrike, and Gears of War style, a beam from
The heavens.
low orbital, a low orbital beam
Same thing.
shoots down and blows up the top of this building, and it's a fucking gorgeous shot. And they take out the sniper, and and the thing that is most notable here for me is Doff is asking Upshur if he's all right, and Upshur says, "Honey, if this is shaking out the way I think it is, Alana is already the biggest story of our." And then the building explodes, and we get a honey here,
Yeah.
which confirms
Yeah.
the ship, which I was already sailing for this one.
If you're not on board yet, get on board, man.
And so that's our opening. Again, we're starting with the Upshur and Doff cold open, which I'm loving the structure of, especially since they haven't talked to anyone that we know specifically.
I think it's really cool structurally because it accomplishes a couple things. It's obviously introducing you to Upshur and Doff as characters, but it's
Mhm.
also showing you the wider world and expositing backstory. Like in the
Mhm.
last one, we learn about Alana through her mother. Now we're learning about her through her commanding officer. And just like last issue, we kind of saw Suburbia. We're seeing another front in the war.
Mhm. Yeah, which is a very cool orange skied. It almost feels like what's that place that was in Mission Impossible 4?
Dubai.
Dubai. There we go. It seems like the sort of like a almost sandstormy aesthetic, like a
I can
sand
see that, yeah.
something came in here and fucked up. God.
But yeah,
know.
Copyright strike, man.
I thought Ben's point about the sword was really interesting, and I'd like to return to that a
No,
little bit.
let's talk about, because also there's some variations on. I like that she has almost like the old school iMac monitor
Yeah,
as a head
yeah.
here. It's a lot
Oh,
sleeker
yeah.
and more rounded.
I read it as like a like kind of 50s TV, like the retro futurist, or 60s, I guess, like the retro futurist kind of look.
I like mine better, so we'll go with mine.
It's definitely
instead.
more of a feminine shape, I feel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
compared
Which
to
which
the other
it's
guy.
yeah it's super subtle, and I appreciate the sort of different vibes it gives off.
I also love on the second page you can kind of see from behind her hand like Terminator 2 style remorphing into the hand midway through from the
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, I wonder if we'll ever get more kind of in backstory on how their weapons. I mean, because like they get new body parts all the time, right? So maybe they can like pick and choose
Right.
Yeah,
what kind
yeah.
of weapon they have.
I was
It's like
wondering if you could like
programming or something.
change them between different weapons or each person only has one or what. And again, these are I just love the way that Saga just implies these things and there's this internal logic to it, but you
Yeah.
can't follow all of it. You don't know the whole story behind everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of if we do see or if we've ever seen Prince Robot with an alternate to the hand cannon, the Mega Man hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mega Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't say. I don't know.
So that's something that add that to the list of things we say we will look out for and then forget entirely.
Until we see it again, and then
Yeah.
oh shit,
Yeah.
there it is.
And then I'm like, I totally called it. Good on me.
I think this scene's also really interesting, kind of learning because we've seen Marco flashbacks and we've seen how kind of violent he's capable of being, and now we're learning that Alana hesitated, but she still like blew up a bridge, right?
Yeah,
Right.
killed a bunch
yeah.
of people. Yeah.
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 And I think that that's super informative to her character, and it's interesting to see because kind of up till now, all that we've gotten from Alana's flashbacks is kind of her slacking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seemed a lot more innocent.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
exactly.
And much like this building getting destroyed, a bombshell has been dropped on the readers.
Oh, fuck. We're getting these new layers. We were always one person short from really breaking this thing. Also, I just love the fact that this is our first time we see an actual dragon, and it's just this
Yeah.
dead, blown up thing on a runway.
Yeah,
It's like an eel or something.
Yeah, it's like sort of Loch Nessy.
I always read it as like a fallen T-Rex almost.
Really, it's that fin that's
Yeah, I
that's
guess
around-
that
because
is a
it's not
fin.
quite a wing. So I don't really
Yeah.
know even.
Huh.
I don't know. We
I
did
dunno.
just see like flying sharks, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in the
Yeah.
last
Sky
issue,
sharks.
So fins and wings. That's what you guys should have called the podcast.
Fins and wings.
It's never too late. Actually, Noah, could you take your headphones off really quick here? Ben, go get on twitter.com right now. Fins and wings. Grab that
I'm
immediately.
doing it right now.
I need to ditch this guy so fucking bad. Driving me absolutely insane. All right, Noah, you can come back on. You can come back on.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Okay.
just singing your praises. All right, what's this next
Yeah, that
scene?
was a good bit. Does Ben, do you want to take a crack at summarizing a scene, or should we leave it to the pros?
Yeah, I'll take a swing at it. Let me try it. Cut me
All right.
off if I do a terrible job.
Okay,
But,
will do.
So yeah, we cut to Alana. There's some more Hazel narration saying like, "Oh yeah, my mom killed some people." Then Isabel jumps in, telling her to go check on Marco because he's actually happy. He's having a good time. And then we jump up into the lighthouse and we see Marco, Clara, and Dr. Oswald Heist playing a good old game of everyone's favorite None Tudge None, the classic Reed board game. Alana comes in. What the hell's going on? What are you guys doing? They explain to her this great game, and then it's time for round two. We got Clara and Oswald against young lovers, Marco and Alana. I think it was age against beauty, the way
Yeah,
Mr. Heist
yeah.
put it. So they start playing that game, and you want me to keep going here to this next scene, or
Nope,
'cause this is kind of jumping back and forth here?
that's a well, how quickly does it jump back and forth?
Looks like it's about 3 pages, then it jumps back to the board game.
We'll stop there for a sec.
Yeah, I think they're pretty quick scenes, but I think we'll separate them out.
Yeah, sounds great.
Gotta keep them separated.
That was a very good summary.
You're
was
only
my
doing
first
the summaries
summary.
now.
That was my
You
first one.
topped all the summaries.
Yeah.
I'm angry, if anything.
Fins and Wings podcast.
I love the Hazel narration here. I don't know exactly how many people my mother killed, at least not how many before she gave birth to me. Cuz you can kind of read that a couple different ways. You can read that as like she didn't kill anyone after giving birth to her, or you could read that as like Hazel, she's killed people and Hazel has watched her kill people, or
Right, like she knows exactly how many people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's an interesting kind of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely lean towards the latter just based on the way this book has gone so far.
And
Yeah.
again, it's stressing me the fuck out because this is another sort of foreboding, like, does she not know it because it's an awkward thing to bring up with her mother, or because my favorite character ever is gonna die and I don't want to think about it. Like these are such scary things that like they keep bringing up here, and I do not like it. But what I do like is that Bar apparently knit Hazel
a
a
little
tiny
cape.
version of Alana's coat from the first issue, from the cover of the first issue too. The tan cape coat. And it is the most adorable thing, and I love it, and I need it for my dog. So if anyone could go ahead and do that.
That would be hilarious. Yeah, that was something I totally missed on my first read through. So that's
Yeah.
a cool little nugget.
See, that's
And
what we're here
the
for.
way, and then when Isabel jumps in behind her and kind of startles her, and she's like, "Fuck off!" This is the
Love
way
that.
she screams "fuck." It's so real. It's so good.
Yeah, it's like a fuck and then a scream is my reaction to most things, and it's very relatable. But yeah, and it's also nice. We're seeing some. Ooh, we get to see the fucking bar of this cements it as the ultimate destination, the lighthouse, because it has like a bar / game room in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a
The
billiards
little
table.
neon sign that says hops and has a rocket ship. I wonder if that's a cheeky reference to there's a breed of hop called Galaxy hops.
No.
Ooh.
No
Yeah,
one's
they
that
make-
fucking nerdy. No.
That would be pretty crazy. That'd be a cool little Easter egg if that's true.
Yeah. I'll need to, when I start my own brewery after retirement, I'll have a Saga themed beer. It's a single hop IPA with Galaxy hops.
Classic.
It can be called Fins and Wings.
Too bad that name will be taken by then.
This is, what do we think the other sign says? Because I'm trying to figure it out here.
What
Yeah,
other sign?
Looks like
Where?
M-O next to the hops. There's another one on the wall.
Oh, Moe's
Mops.
Tavern.
Oh, that actually might be it.
Little Simpsons nod. Yeah, I'm looking ahead a few pages too, and I see it again, but it's cut off like the exact same way.
Damn it. Oh, god damn
It's
it
like
is.
literally. That's so funny.
It's mops. I think we can all agree it's mops. It's that's the only thing that makes
All
sense.
right.
It's
I
setting
need
up.
to know.
I
I need
think-
to know what it is.
I think we're risking becoming redundant now. I think we should we any
Yeah.
other thoughts on this
Well, we've
scene?
all agreed. Oh, yeah, no, we all know it's mops. So it's also no. This is already making us. If anyone can create a nun tuj nun for us to play,
Yes. Yeah, we will
please
play
Oh,
do.
man.
I will fly to
Um,
St. Louis to play Nun Tuj Nun
Yeah, we
with,
will
with Jonathan.
Give you money for the thing. Actually, yeah, and you're not far from St. Louis either, Ben. So let's just have a
Yeah,
nice.
I'm pretty close. I want in on the
Nun-tuj-nun.
inaugural game. I do want to say this though.
Mhm.
You guys watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes, absolutely.
This game has to be
Yes.
a reference to Charlie McDennis.
Yeah,
name they make up in that game.
Chardy McDennis, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie McDennis. That was it.
Yeah,
it's
it
gotta be.
to-
There's 3 stages. It's got to be a reference.
It totally feels very Chardy McDennis. You're completely right on that. It's like a more family-friendly version of Chardy McDennis.
Especially with the last round is like a psych out round. I think they
Yeah.
say. So,
Yeah.
and like that's the last round of the Charlie McDennis game as well, which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
I gotta check the timelines on that and see how that actually lines up.
I would be very surprised if Brian K. Vaughan wasn't Always Sunny fan, just
Yeah.
judging by the sense of humor in most things. I just want to also point out very quickly, None Tush None means now, and
Yes.
in Wreath, whatever, and also it was given to D. Oswald Heist from his second wife, who we see a photo of, and it seems to be a lady with grass hair, and she is from Gardania. Uh,
So
Yeah, a weirdly an odd amount of information to give about
yeah,
a
very
portrait. You would
detailed
think.
portrait we're getting here too. Huh.
Yeah,
Oh well.
weird.
my quick research, my half-assed internet research, discovered that Charlie McDennis aired on October 27th, 2011, and
Oh,
just
so it
about
does
2 years later, Saga 15 came out, October 30th, 2013. So
Adds
coincidence.
up.
so
It adds up.
yeah, I would say that really adds up.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to really.
That's just a theory.
God.
A none to none theory.
Thanks for watching. All right. So next, no, you take this one. This
All right,
next scene here.
so we're greeted with some, as per usual, Hazel transitional narration. H.T.N for short. We're hitting it. Across the way, things were finally looking up for some of the nice folks who wanted to murder my parents. And so we see the insurance people that that the Will was on the phone with, much to his frustration 2 issues ago, arriving. We see them fixing up his ship, and while they're there, Sophie, God, it feels good to say that name. Sophie offers. Oh, also, I should mention the insurance guy is like a fox in a
Yeah,
cheap
thank
suit.
you. The fucking best.
Yeah, I like this guy. I don't
Yeah.
know why. Like you see so little of him. I really like this guy.
And Sophie offers him some food. And while this is going on, our good old friend, the hallucination of the stock, is talking to the Will, and we're getting kind of a bit more of this conflict where him and Gwendolyn are going at it a bit, but the stock is going around in the background, kind of distracting the Will. And then Sophie has disappeared, and so they kind of have to stop their fight and try to figure out where Sophie is a little. And they kind of just end on a happy note of Gwendolyn saying, "You're doing the right thing here for all of us," and then walks off with Lion Cat saying, "Smile for fuck's sake."
Nice.
And I just want to really appreciate how the spaceship of the insurance people is the most boring spaceship ever, and it is so suited to an insurance person's spaceship.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that either. That's great. That's a good observation. It is really plain looking.
I love. Yeah, it looks like a white
For those of you
van.
not here, yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
a minivan.
And I love
With
the
like
fake.
no features on it.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen like acorn spaceships, tree spaceships, a
Yeah.
skull, and this is just like a white box.
Yeah,
I love just this is just like a clusterfuck of, I feel like they're like, hey, what designs were we wanting to use but had no excuse to use it? Let's just throw them all into this scene. Let's have a fox that looks like a newsie. And then we're gonna have a 12-foot dwarf welding the ship back together in the background.
yeah.
Just totally inexplicably, and they're all in this plain white van, and it's just like, yeah, whatever we got in the
Yeah.
back of the drawer to throw in here because it's fucking great.
I like the revelation that the van isn't like to hold tools and stuff. It's literally just to hold the
Yeah.
other guy. As when you see him crawling out, he's getting into the back of the van, and he takes up like most of the size there.
He looks like a little toddler trying to get back in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute.
Hmm.
Yeah, is there anything else worth noting about this scene?
The Will decides to leave the planet and the hallucination of the stock in this scene. Did you already
Yeah.
mention that? Actually, I'm sorry.
I mentioned the
Uh
hallucination, but we didn't
Yeah.
mention that they're gonna fly off of this planet.
yeah,
Yeah.
he said I'm finishing what we started.
Revenge.
And yeah, so he's gonna leave.
Yeah, I think this is just again like we see in these middle issues. We're getting a lot of kind of character dynamic development, and we're really seeing the kind of relationship between the Will and Gwendolyn growing, and I think it's really believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do have some good chemistry.
Yeah. All
Oh
right.
god, and then I have to do this scene.
Cutting
That's
back
an
to the action.
argument.
You spend so much of your time lining up the perfect scene for yourself, so you deserve it.
Damn it. The three people threw me off so fucking hard. Way too much math. All right, so we're back to Nun Tuj Nun, and we're getting an arm wrestling contest between Alana and Clara, uh, and it is fucking intense. Finally, Alana beats Clara, and Clara says, "Really, you don't throw the match to your wounded mother-in-law?" And Alana says, "My recently widowed wounded mother-in-law, mind you." And Clara says,
Oh.
"I'm impressed," which adds up. And then they start to get into a discussion that becomes an argument about how they're going to, where they're going to go next, because inevitably someone's going to, the military will regularly inspect this lighthouse, and it could be any day, and they need to figure out where to go, and also how to just have money or food or anything. And this is not something that uh Alana is especially down for, is getting a job, especially, well, this is she's been doing a lot of the housework around here since we saw her doing the laundry. And Clara points out that Clara kind of shits on her for doing the laundry and being just a normal sort of quote unquote housewife.
Yeah, that's because Clara is a hardened battle mom.
Yeah, she is a hashtag hardened battle mom. Uh, and uh, so Alana is is both impressed with how progressive she is and also very offended.
I
Uh,
love that line. That was such
yeah,
a good line.
surprisingly progressive and totally offensive. Uh, and they get into this, and Diazwold Heist is actually on Clara's side, and then it turns out Marco is sort of on their side. It's kind of everyone against Alana here, who doesn't want to just go join the workforce and be another one of the dummies, not sticking it to the man. All these sheeple out here, man. and and so Alana runs off, Marco follows, and then Clara and Diazwold Heist get back to their Nun Tuj Nun, which casts a flame on the board because this game has no rules and it's just the best.
Yeah,
That
can
was the
we
psych out. They fucking set that shit up. That was so perfect.
Oh man, yeah, and then we get the mop sign in the back, and that's the important part of this scene. But yeah, we actually get a decent, I like how we're getting sort of pushback against a lot of the messages of the comic itself. Like sort of challenging the things that were sort of a given, with the, like, oh, we're gonna be on the run and fuck the
Yeah.
government and fuck the war and fuck everything, and then it's like, oh shit, how do we have a life then?
Yeah.
And it's a very important question to actually discuss at some point.
I think it and this kind of I feel like we're starting with this kind of arc to enter like kind of, I guess, phase 2 of Saga, where
Mhm.
the reality of domestic life is kind of one of the biggest struggles that our characters need to figure out over the next few arcs, and I think that that's a really interesting place to take a epic sci-fi fantasy story.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much, I feel like a big theme of this chapter is like coming to like terms with reality as in like Alana and Marco are gonna have to leave the lighthouse soon, and the Will has decided to leave his hallucination dream girl
Mm-hmm.
and continue with what he has to do. So yeah, I think this is kind of like one of those transitionary setting things up to get moving, you know.
And I think that's really interesting to have this kind of transitional stuff and this talk of like settling down and things like that when we know that this arc ends with we know it ends, or we assume we're going to get to the point where we left off at the end of last arc, which is
Right.
Prince
What if we
Robot 4
didn't?
coming and them hiding and like coming face to face with one of their pursuers for the first time. So
Pursuers.
as the pursuers,
Those poor sewers.
Fucking French Canadian.
um no, but as the so as we're facing these kind of domestic struggles and knowing about these changes and stuff, there's the shadow of this impending conflict hanging over us the whole time.
Also, and we can talk about these themes and this driving force and everything, but I do want to point out in this first panel of the first page of the scene here that Clara's arm seems to be melting. And so this leads me to a new theory that I think is
what
well,
The sweat coming off, I see it.
yeah, I think we can all agree that's her skin melting off. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is brings me to a new theory that she's a robot. And
Yeah, that's not really Clara, man.
that's the tan makeup
Yeah,
coming
yup.
off her skin.
Yeah.
Hashtag
okay.
who is Clara?
yeah.
Who is she really?
Can we trust her?
I would say this too. This is about the point too where I start getting really interested in Clara. You get to learn a little bit more about her personality.
Yeah.
She's not as cold to everyone.
Yeah.
Especially reading it a second time, I found myself drawn to her a lot more than the first time I read through the series.
I think it's really interesting. This is a point, and it kind of started last issue where they say, they basically tell you she doesn't die. So you're gonna need to get some more character development from her and need to become more interested in her, because I feel the exact same. Like when she first arrives, she's kind of just the hardened battle mom, and now
Yeah.
over the next few issues, we're starting to understand who she is as a person.
Yeah. There's like a sweetness to her.
Yeah, yeah, and a kind of like she definitely, we saw last issue and we can see here too. There's definitely kind of a cheeky sense of humor that if you can crack the outer facade, you can get like even just the way she smirks at Oswald Heist at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
When they get that win, baby.
Yeah,
None touch none. Champion.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. The tournament that will tear us all apart. Second someone invents this thing. Yeah, I like that scene.
You want,
It's a
you
fun
want me
one.
to get into this next bit here?
Kick it.
yeah. If you want to.
All right. Meanwhile, back on the lush planetoid, we see Sophie foraging in the woods, eating some berries, and a woman is in the woods asking if she remembers her. And we come to find out that it is her mother that she has long since never seen. And she's asking her to do something for her, and she needs to be brave for what comes next. And that was a one-page scene. I
Holy
can keep
shit, it
going
was.
if you want.
Do we want to talk about that briefly, and then we'll have you do
Yeah,
the next scene too.
Yeah, Ben can do the next scene. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to. My big thing here is I just want to note, we were talking about this last time, and it's really drawn my attention. Like every one of Fiona Staples' kind of wide shots of the planets is really compelling, even if it's the same planet you've seen wide shot after wide shot for like 3 issues in a row. It's still like just a really compelling establishing shot.
Yeah. I like that that she's kind of like begun distorting the shape of the planets and stuff like that, like make the planet itself really interesting to look at. It probably started with like the egg planet, the time suck egg planet.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then obviously Quietus just looks like a fucking rad cloud, and this looks like a old school like gobstopper or Like,
Dude, that is what I was thinking
Yeah.
too. What movie is that from where the
it's,
candy looks
yeah,
like
Willy
that?
Wonka. That's the
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was the everlasting
Yep.
gobstopper.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that's what I thought of too.
Yeah, and so I love that. Like, yeah, it kind of, boy, I was gonna reference. Ben, have you played or seen Outer Wilds at all?
No, I have
Oh,
not.
I'm still alone. This is the reference I will keep making on this podcast. But it is like a sort of like a camping sci-fi space adventure game, and
Oh, okay.
it seems like very similar planet designs and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool to look at, and I like it. You got
All
anything
right,
else cool in
Ben.
this scene?
I think that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, then we cut back to Quietus, and we get some more. What was it? Transitional Hazel narration.
Mhm.
THN.
Or no, oh, sorry. If you're gonna be on the podcast, please get it right. It's Hazel transitional narration, much
shit,
much
you're right.
shittier
I'm sorry.
than what you said. It's H.T.N. Don't worry, it's the one thing I've ever written down for the course of recording all of these podcasts.
So we cut back to Quietus. Alana is kind of out sulking or kind of reflecting upon what they're gonna do, and Marco comes up and literally refuses a blowjob to talk about a scene from a Midnight Smoke novel. And I do also want to point out as well that he asks if she remembers chapter 15 as we read chapter 15. So there's a nice
Oh
wall
yeah,
break.
shit! I didn't get that.
Yeah,
That's meta.
So, yeah, definitely meta as fuck. But they discuss kind of what they're gonna do, and that basically that Clara and Oswald Heiss were right. They can't just stay there forever. And then we cut from up high, and we see that the two wise elderly folk, Heist and Clara, are watching down upon them, kind of patting themselves off the back for what they just did, kind of lighting a fire under their ass, I guess.
Right.
And then the last shot is fucking Alana seems to go through with that sexual favor that she offered at the beginning of the scene, and Clara's looking out the window, and she says, What is Alana doing now? Praying? And then Oswald Heiss, definitely not praying.
I think there's an important part of this scene that we need to talk about before we get into it more. This gives us an opportunity for one of our trademarked dramatic A Nighttime Smoke readings.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, I get
who
a
says
live
it?
show for this. Yeah.
Oh, it's Eames. So that's Noah's a rock man.
Yep.
So please, quiet in the. And please, I'd like to introduce Noah, aka Polyphonic, as Eames from A Nighttime Smoke, reading a quote from Nighttime Smoke. Action.
God
Okay,
damn it.
cut. All right, hey Noah, can you take your headphones off really quick? Ben, we gotta do something about this asshole. He's tearing me, dude.
Such a Madonna.
We're hemorrhaging listeners because of this motherfucker.
If you need me, I'll be in my trailer.
All right,
Can't work like this.
All right.
Take two. Eames, Nighttime Smoke, action.
There are two kinds of people left in this world: consumers and destroyers. We used to have creators, but they all ran away.
And scene.
This is a fitting thing to be talking about in a podcast with 3 hashtag creators.
Oh man. Trending hashtag creators.
And Marco even says maybe we can help make something.
Oh, see, this is
Like,
where
He
this is the
can
origin.
make stuff.
Calling my lawyer.
Slide.
No, I do love this. Like, we do get just this nice little, even like just they raise a decent moral question, like 2 scenes prior, and then resolve it, like very satisfyingly like the next scene with just the idea
Very
of like
satisfying.
Satisfyingly
Oh,
is definitely the right choice
we
of words
reach
there.
satisfaction in this scene. But
I'm at peak satisfaction right now.
but the idea of like, well, let's instead of just being consumers or destroyers, let's actually create something good. Uh, and yeah, so that's why I'm not making this podcast anymore.
This is this is definitely a moment of kind of Brian K. Vaughan evangelizing a little through Saga, which I think personally, as someone who is a creative, I like it, but that's just because it's kind of preaching directly to my sensibilities.
We're getting a real end of Game of Thrones thing here of the story. See, what the Saga world needs is just more writers, man.
Yeah, yeah,
It's gotta be.
exactly. I think this is probably the first moment we've encountered in Saga where I'm like, okay, that's a little heavy-handed, but I'm still here for it because I love Saga. But this is definitely a bit of a kind of it feels like Alana is not the one giving a blowjob. It feels like this is Brian K. Vaughan giving Brian K. Vaughan a bit of a blowjob.
I do like
which is a well earned act of autofellatio.
You know what?
Yeah,
One
he
of the
earned
first
it, man.
times.
He earned it.
One of the first times we have like an actual visual artist on the podcast here. So if you want to go ahead and depict that for this thumbnail.
Yeah, you said you guys need help with the thumbnail, right?
We don't like our monetization anyway. I do think that at least we have Marco, who is the most like blindly optimistic, and if there's anyone who is heavy-handed in this book to deliver a heavy-handed, hyper moral sort of just monologue like this, then it's absolutely Marco.
I think it is. I think it is a really compelling point, though, and I think it's something that also like it isn't. It provides a bit of a blueprint towards the kind of radical pacifism that is kind of the message of the story. It says the blueprint towards radical pacifism is creativity, which I think is really cool.
And fucking too.
Well,
blowjob.
I guess that's creating.
Yeah. I mean, there's fucking being the being with no, I can't spoil that. Never mind.
It creates
Don't
life,
spoil
man.
it.
Yeah.
There we go. So on that profound note, we want to hit up this last scene.
One more thing. It is
God.
peak Marco for Marco to like doing the dishes.
Yeah, what an asshole. How perfect can you be?
I love that. That's such a good exchange because it's been a while since we've gotten that sort of romantic back and forth between them, and I love that him saying I like doing the dishes and she says you are so fucking sexy. I miss that. I'm glad that we get more of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
It's very on brand for Alana.
Am I up for this scene then?
Yep.
All right. So we are back on the Wills planet, which I'm gonna call Mountaina.
You want to take that one again now?
Because it's full of mountains.
Hey, no, I'm gonna give you another crack at the bat here. You want to take that one again now?
All right, we are back on the Wills planetoid, which I am going to call Mountaina.
Yeah.
So we're back, and we see the Will walking into a ship, kind of asking around to see if Gwendolyn's there, and he gets a call from Cozen Claims and Adjustments, who want to know if any of their employees ate native meat while assisting. And then we learn that the meat might have heroin, which is, quote, some kind of parasite that alters brain chemistry to trick hosts into joining a new ecosystem.
Heroin with an E.
Yes.
Cool.
And
that was a nice touch.
Yeah. And the Will has this kind of moment of shock, and then we turn the page and see Sophie is terrifying as hell, lurking in the
Yeah.
shadows behind the will, and stabs him in the fucking neck. He kind of stumbles up, falls flat on his face, dripping blood from his mouth, looks over at Sophie, who has berry juice all over her mouth, and we see our ending splash is Sophie standing over the will with a knife in his neck, and a hallucination that is half Sophie's mother and half the stalk is saying, "Now stand on the bad man's neck until he stops moving." Holy fuck, that's a
Yeah,
scene.
that's pretty hardcore. And the knife is like all the way in his neck. Like it's got to be going through the full width of his neck, dude.
I distinctly remember reading this scene for the first time. This was a very jarring moment for me.
That reveal of Sophie behind him is sincerely terrifying. It is.
Yeah.
Very psycho-esque.
Mhm.
And-
And I
and-
love how the using light to draw your eyes to things. I think that I love the kind of horror where it's like it takes your eyes a second to adjust to see what you're like to it takes a second to realize that you're looking at something terrifying. Hereditary did a lot of this, where it's just like it puts something where it's like barely visible in the darkness, and then it's like so much more horrifying when you realize you've been looking at this fucking horrifying thing the whole time. And so I love the use of light here, where it's everything but the eyes, and then eventually the knife you spot, but it just takes your brain just like a full second to be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Oh god,
Yeah.
no, fuck this.
Yeah,
No, it's very good.
it's super jarring after kind of to end really not just one issue but two issues that have been like relatively conflict free and have been kind of character building issues, and this
Mhm.
this issue where we like pull out from a heartwarming moment and a sex joke and then pull into just this like intense kind of traumatic horror with blood everywhere. And I mean the way kind of this is something that kind of to speak to what Ben was talking about, like the motion of the panel where the will is standing up with the knife in his neck, and you can just like see him kind of stumbling, his ankles are kind of akimbo. It's
Oh, and
so
it's-
incredible.
Also, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just slightly. If you look at the line on the back of the floor and stuff, like it is just slightly an obtuse, like sort of a Dutch angle,
Yeah.
just to give it even
yeah,
more of
yeah.
that uneasy feeling. And yeah, that is super effective. And I also just to add a bit of fucking heartbreak, a hat on a hat here, a hat on a knife here, is him turning before he collapses. He says to Sophie, "Not your fault," and then
Oh.
fucking passes out. Oh god, which is I love that that's his priority, like
Yeah.
of just being like,
Those are
make sure you
good,
don't.
yeah. Good last words, I'd say.
Yeah, it's like just make sure that she's already scarred enough.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. She fucking murdered the guy that saved her.
Yeah.
That would be shitty.
Yeah, this is I also just like the way that they use panel spacing here. Like you've got just this kind of big dramatic panel, and like the 2-page panel of the stabbing is so like I don't know, it's just such a beautiful page that really drives the intensity of the moment home.
It makes me like my shoulders are touching my fucking ears right now with how much I'm like so unsettled by any neck stuff already upsets me, but this is just so painful to look at. Also, I think that it's very, very much worth pointing out that if I remember correctly, Fiona Staples, because you know she didn't do very much comics work before Saga, and so everyone's like, where the hell did she come from? This is the fucking best. But the thing that she, if I'm remembering correctly, the thing that she was always super into and the stuff that she gravitated towards with her art was horror stuff, which is very rarely seen in Saga to this extent. And so I
Yeah.
love that, like, the second that there's a anything resembling horror, it is so effective and so fucking creepy and so well executed. And I very much, sad as I will be to see Saga go, I really want to see her
What
take a
else she
crack at a
does.
proper horror comic, because this
I
is
I think
so
it's
well done.
I think it's really kind of on the meta level reading this comic. It's really interesting because if you flip through the pages, this is such a dialogue heavy issue. And you even see like the first page of this scene, there's a ton of speech bubbles from the claims people calling back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn the page and it's just like almost a deathly silence.
Yeah.
It's really, really impactful.
Yeah, you spend more time with each panel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering too. So, how long have they been on this planet? Because
That's
How
a good
did-
question. It has to
how-
be just
how
a few
did
days,
Sophie-
right?
maybe, yeah. Because if no one else had hallucinated that whole time except for the will, like, what were they eating?
See, that's what I was thinking. I feel like it's specifically because we see her eating in that one page scene with her and
The
Lion
berries,
Cat.
yeah.
Or no, with back in last issue,
Oh.
with when she's talking to Lion Cat to sort of test to see if she's lying.
Oh, yeah.
The first panel, she's eating something, and my assumption was just that is to show that she's eating something from the ship, like some kind of
I
rations,
thought they were
like
eating
rations
that
or
I thought
something?
they were eating the shark that they just killed.
Oh, right. That
Or were
also
they
makes
not?
sense.
Or do they just like to murder beautiful animals that fly around?
I think they like to murder things that should never exist, and they're doing the Lord's work here. Fucking shiver sharks. But yeah, no, that is a good question, because it does look like a pink meat that she's eating.
Well, it could just be a thing where it doesn't immediately, like, it doesn't always affect anyone. People have different immune systems and things like that.
yeah, that would
and
be
they put a lot of
convenient.
focus on the fact that she ate berries. Maybe it's just berries.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause, like,
Yeah.
the juice is all over her face. I mean, I could see that as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
it feels like they went out of their way to like show the berry juice on her face. And also, can she see the half stalk illusion, or is that just for us? You know,
I think-
I assumed that was for us, and I assumed this was almost kind of like like we're almost getting two people's perspectives on this shot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's tough to
Yeah.
say.
yeah, I
That's
thought that as
also-
well. But at the same time, they're like, it's like a parasite. It's in both of them, so theoretically, it would have both of their memories, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how sort of sentient this whole thing is, like, and if it's sort of like a hive mind type of thing. Because if it is just basing it off of the like if it's a psychological effect on the host or whatever, then yeah, those two things should not be merging in any way. But yeah, I guess I like the idea that it's like, no, it's the whole planet, this sort of hive
Well-
mind fungusy thing that's the whole
Yeah.
planet trying to keep you
Well-
on the planet.
Well, I think it's super cool because I think it kind of implies that the planet is aware of their consciousness, because this is right after the will has kind of decided that they're gonna leave the planet and pursue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like once
yeah, it
he's
doesn't want him
once
to leave.
he's made up his mind, the planet like decides, like it's like the planet is trying to make him stay with the stock, and then he's made up his mind, and the planet's like, well, we'll just kill him and
Right.
keep the others here.
Right. You know, I've been saying it for years, man. It's fucking rough on Mountainia. Don't fuck
Mountainia.
around. You don't fucking-
Mountainia.
Fucking worst.
Dude, sometimes names just stick, and you gotta roll with it.
Really, I was just riffing on Gardania.
Mhm.
Oh,
Don't give
I
him the
didn't make that-
satisfaction, man.
I didn't make
Please
that
don't.
connection. That's good. Okay. It's better now. I'll say that it's a better name now.
Because it literally couldn't have been worse.
Oh man. Hey, that's the issue. Do we have some favorite moments here?
Oh yeah, I got one. You
yeah,
can
go
first,
ahead.
Noah.
No, well, okay. My favorite moment is this end splash. This end splash
Fuck.
is just, yeah.
Fuck.
God damn it.
It's just such a jarring cliffhanger way to end.
Shit.
And I have clear memories reading this for the first time and just like losing my shit. And I also remember actually turning the page because when I was reading this the first time, it was in a trade copy. Turning the page and seeing the opening splash of the next one, and that in and of itself is a weird, a weird kind of transition.
Right. Yeah, no, that's I'm going with the same thing. And like I said at the beginning, I really think that this is uh, Saga has become in my mind just the pinnacle of best possible opening splash, best possible closing splash. And it's actually something that I try to do with the make stuff videos where it's like set up a ton of stuff, but like have that reveal of like the conclusion, have it like be as profound and tie as many things together at the last possible second, just like keep holding it off. And I love that just like so many things come together in this last splash that's like that that hold just like the reveal of whatever the fuck this monstrosity is for the closing splash, and how fucking impactful that "now stand on the bad man's neck until he stops moving" line
badass
is.
line.
And it's just like I love that the peak of this whole comic is like emotionally is the last second of this comic, and that's such an effective way to bring us back for another
Yeah.
ep.
They know how to get. They're really good at getting you to keep reading. I remember
Yeah.
just burning through the. That's another thing I like about reading along with you guys is
Mhm.
that it's only one issue a week.
Right.
Moments are a bit more impactful now because I'm not like fuck it. I'm gonna keep going. I can't.
Yeah. I feel like that, if anything, that's hurt the attention to detail in these books just because of how readable they are and how quickly you can just fly through them.
I could not imagine sitting on this cliffhanger for a month.
It fucking sucks, man.
And what was your favorite moment, Ben? We didn't get to yours.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
my favorite moment was Clara and Dr. Oswald Heiss using clearly a very hot issue among the family right now about whether or not they should stay on quietus, using that to turn Alana and Marco against each other so they could win a game of none touch none. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. I think that's amazing, and that's something that I actually didn't even pick up on until you mentioned it during the summary.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was great, and it totally mirrors the end of that Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode as well.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. That was my favorite moment. I mean, obviously the Will getting stabbed in the neck, incredible as well. Close second for me.
I think another thing that I want to mention before we go to question of the week and those things is just I found the pacing in this issue really interesting, and maybe that's just because I was made aware of it by our summarizing. But in earlier issues of Saga, it was usually kind of pretty structured, and there wasn't a bunch of jumping back and forth between 1 or 2 page scenes. But there's a ton of them in this issue, and I think that that's an interesting kind of shift that's starting to happen.
Yeah, we did that. Like, I think there is one other issue where there are those ones where it's like we got a bunch of 2-page scenes and it was jumping back and forth a lot. And like around the same time in volume 2. And I like that, like it's another one of those things that like draws you in even more. It's like where it should be slowing down a bit, it's like picking up the pace.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that was intentional also. But really important.
I think it helped. I think it helped the stab scene as well.
Yeah,
That jarring.
Yeah,
jump
because
back.
also it also like gets her out of your mind a bit too, to have that scene between her eating the berries and that to make that hit harder. It's good stuff. Do we have some song suggestions?
I
I had thought of one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So playing on the theme of kind of coming to grips with reality and how Alana and Marco are having to leave the lighthouse, I thought "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones would be good. And
Oh,
There we go.
also, I don't know why either, but when the
okay,
Countess
there,
calls
Martin
down,
Scorsese.
when the Countess like calls down that airstrike, I was getting like, because like "Gimme Shelter" is kind of like a Nam era. You see it in a lot
Yeah.
of Nam movies, right? I was like just hearing that song when that happened. I don't know, so I was like, oh, I like that song. That'd be nice.
I love
That
it.
makes a ton of sense.
Song about war. I'm gonna go with just to because I like to pick a dumb thing to reflect my favorite scene. I'm gonna go by Charlene, I'm Right Behind You by Stephen Colbert and the Black Bells, produced by Jack White of all
You're
places.
you're really just trying to make this the worst playlist ever. You're not actually even
No
you're not even
joke.
trying you're not even
Noah.
trying to reflect anything, are you?
Noah, no joke, you would love this song. You would sincerely
You might as
love
well
this
throw
song.
in the score for Psycho as well.
No, it's not too late. You could change your pick to that.
Yeah, I'm switching to that. Delete "Gimme Shelter" from the playlist.
Get that garbage off this playlist.
Uncheck that heart. I want some harsh violin strings.
I
Come on.
literally need my ear stabbed. All right,
I,
Noah, what do you got for us?
I'm just gonna lean into our reveal of the name of this parasite and say check out "Heroin" by the Velvet Underground.
Okay, that's a good
Heroin
one.
be the death of me. If that's not a fitting line for this, I don't know what is.
More like Charlene, I'm Right Behind You, I think is probably a more fitting line. But all right. Hey, Ben, you want to hear a really good song?
Yeah.
Well, here it is. Wow, what a good song.
Oh, that was a sick song, dude.
See, Ben is the first person to be clued in on the fact that we actually play that song live, like perform it live with instruments every time.
I felt like I was there.
If we fuck up the take, we start over the podcast every time. So I'm glad we got that on the
We've been
first one.
recording for 12 hours.
Yeah, dude. I'm just so excited that you finally fucking nailed it. You even practiced that song? It doesn't sound
It's
like
just,
it.
you know, we got that back and forth between us that is clearly so flawless, especially now that you can see this unedited. You know how fucking perfect
Yeah,
we
anyone
are of a
listening to
combo.
this, yeah, you don't know how lucky you are having it chopped up into nice, clean one take. You guys are very lucky. I took it for granted. Now I never will again.
Yeah, the only problem is that Jonathan always cuts out my 4-hour rants about Hades Town.
Fucking
I thought it was great. You should leave it in. Extended cut.
God, this is me changing the fucking topic from Hades Town. I have a good question. I don't mind having multiple questions on this one because I have a good question. I want to hear what else.
Yeah,
people got.
you'll mind when it comes to recording the Between the Issues episode.
Well, we've been good. We've been good for I think the last 2 or 3. We've just gone with one question, so we can kind of splurge a bit here.
I don't actually personally have a question.
Big fucking surprise. You got one for us, Ben?
I got one.
All right.
I would say if you were an android or a blue blood, as the
Mhm.
characters like to call, and they do get to choose whatever their arm morphs
Oh,
into,
shit.
what weapon would you choose? Or it doesn't have to be weapon. Like they could pick anything, really, just any
Oh.
mundane object.
Ben, you just opened the dildo floodgates.
Yeah.
Can I add an addendum to that too and say what would your head look like?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll make that your question.
Okay.
What do
What
we
does
want to
your
make it
arm
like?
and your head look like?
Yeah, do we want to make it specifically like a brand thing or like a type of thing? Like, does it have to be an existing monitor or TV or anything?
It doesn't need to be a specific brand, but like your head
fuck.
can't be a goat or something like that. You're a robot.
God damn it! All right, I got nothing then. Okay, my question of the week is: what kind of goat would your head be if you were? No, my question of the week is: what would your hallucination be that would try to keep you on Mountainia.
I considered that too, actually. I was thinking about that exact same
yeah,
question.
I forgot that I always just take your shitty, discarded thoughts and make them the best I got.
That is a good question.
It is a great question.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Even better if you actually ask it. I think that's the real impressive part. So yeah, those are the questions of the week. Respond on the video version of this on YouTube or the pinned tweet on Twitter. And hey, Ben, I am foregoing my plugs to give you plugs here. So where can we find
this? Is not a limited time. Everyone can get plugs.
An hour and 12 minutes, Noah. Shut your
Everyone
goddamn
can
mouth.
get plugs.
I want none
There's
of them.
plenty of plugs.
All right,
plenty of plugs.
Ben, I have great news. You now have double the time because I'm also removing Noah's from the podcast.
Hey.
So fucking leisure, like just fucking throw out anything, some high school essays that you want to put out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess to really start the plugs, I need to go back about 10 years ago. No, but yeah, I mean, follow me on Twitter at BennyBeats111. From there, you can probably find my YouTube channel, SPTV. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got right now. Slowly putting out videos, very, very slowly. But if you want to see what I do, you can find me there.
You're going at a make stuff pace right now.
I learned from the best.
You learned the worst from the best. Please, yeah, definitely go subscribe to SPTV. It's fucking fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. The Talking Heads concept is just delightful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to do. It's just, especially now where I'm at the point to where I'm like just trying to add new shit each time. It takes a while, and my computer, I literally can't review the animation as I'm making it because my computer can't handle the playback. So I have it down to like a science of the, yeah, I'm sure you can understand this too. I have it down to a science of the keyframes. I just know what it's going to look like because I know what keyframes to use in what positions.
Right.
And then an episode takes like 3 days to export, and then if I fucked up at all, I gotta re-export it, and it is hell, dude.
Well,
that's brutal.
My offer to you that I offer to anyone now that I made a computer. If you ever want to make a computer, fucking hit me up because I learned so much garbage to figure that shit out that I want to use this knowledge to help anyone else. Hey, just listeners of the podcast, you want to make a computer? Fucking hit me up. I'll help you out a bit.
I smell another podcast coming.
Here we go.
Fins and Wings, it's about making computers.
That's a terrible idea. Noah, take your headphones off really quick for me.
Okay, yeah, they're off. Yep.
Okay. Hey, Ben, that's a terrible idea. I don't want to do it. All right, Noah, go ahead. Come on back. Oh, hey, thank you so much to Fiona Staples, Brian K. Vaughan.
Wait, are we actually not plugging ourselves?
Yeah, Noah, and a big thank you to Noah at Watch Polyphonic on everything. Go check out YouTube. He did a video about some dead person who gives a fuck. I'm not doing fucking anything ever except for this goddamn podcast. It's my whole life. So thank you so much for listening. Noah's doing Inktober. Did I miss anything?
And
goddamn.
Oh yeah, your Inktobers have been awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Can you do the honors and sign us off, Ben?
Oh, with the am I shitting?
That was it. That was it. That's perfect.